I love to send statements. Only thing is I don't have any ribbon in the printer. So the boss says, you stupid accountant, just go ahead and get the damn ribbons and type those letters. I'm excited to get in black first time in the history. But then this accountant's, sweating, tells the boss, I love to send the letters, I love to buy the ribbons, but if you buy the ribbons, we will be in red again. So this is like a borderline case, right? But then guess what happens? When the boss and I are talking about this being in red and being in black, the dear auditor, Joe Chavez, he was sitting and just listening to this, was laughing his head off, right? So the accountant goes, the boss goes to the auditor and says, hey, check it out. What happened here? So the auditor, as usual, very suspicious people, auditors are very suspicious, right? People don't like them. You know why? Because they catch them doing something wrong, maybe, So he looks at them and says, hey, guess what? We made a mistake here. My audit report shows our inventory should be so much. But guess what? This accountant screwed up. He expensed more inventory on the income statement, so we are showing loss. So that's why this is a borderline case. We call it overstatement of cost of sales. So you take it out of inventory and show it on the cost, so your profit is less. Does that make sense so far? What I'm saying? You understand? Excellent. I'm proud of you guys. As my friend Nora says, I'm Arvin Tucker, and just to give you a little brief information about me, I was born and raised in India. I came here in the United States in 1974. I have for 35 plus years, I've been self-employed accountant as well as hotelier in hotel business. For the last 5 years, I've been with the city. 1 year with the feds and 4 years city, going on 5th year with City of Brownsville. I'm an internal auditor for the City of Brownsville. My colleague, Joe Chavez, he's my senior, and he's internal auditor also. He's CPA and CFE. CPA, Certified Public Accountant. CFE, he's Certified Fraud Examiner. Very few CFEs in the Valley, by the way. My friend Arnold Perez, he is he's certified in government audit. We call it CGAP, issued by IIA, which is Institute of Internal Auditors. And he's also CFE, he's certified fraud examiner. And our beautiful friend here, she's from Germany. She's visiting, she's she's on her internship. She goes to college there, but she spends 3 to 4 months here, goes through our process in the government, and she goes back, she gets the credit for it, and gets special recognition. Her name is Gina, last name V-O-G-T, and we probably will say vote, right? Well, they go vote. So voa is like a fuck, vote. Well, I just want you to meet her also. We brought her as our special guest as well. During this process of going through my little presentation, we'll have question answer session where my friends will also participate to answer any question you may have. Academically, I have certification in risk management. I'm also certified public manager. I have done My master's studies in accounting, auditing, and management. I have my diploma in taxation, laws, and practice from back home, and all that good stuff I have done. Now I'm going to go to the actual work as an internal auditor for the city, what we do. And you have to remember, when you work for government, either local, county, state, or federal, their accounting system is different. There is no P&L, or we call it profit and loss. We don't have that. Instead, they have source of funds and use of funds, where the source of funds happens to be, they may have some enterprise accounts where they collect income from the profits, but they identify as enterprise income. Then they also get government grants for several projects. And then they collect taxes, as you know. As soon as the child is born, that child is born with debt. And that debt is taxation. We die with taxation. In our grave, at the end, we pay tax. So this is part of the income that the government gets. City gets some, state gets some, county gets some. The property, you pay property taxes, real estate taxes, sales tax. Portion of the sales tax you are paying to the state comes back to the city. And all that different things that we have. As an auditor, our function is a little different. As an internal auditor, we work as an employee for the government. The external auditors, which are independent, that they are also required at least once a year to do an independent audit of our books, like the city of Brownsville, their accounting, and they do their audits and they give independent report without any prejudice. So that's what the difference, external versus internal. Internal is we are actually employed by the government, and sometimes in some cities, the auditor works strictly under the mayor and the elected officials, the commissioners. Whereas some cities like Brownsville, we work under the city manager. Currently, we have Charlie Kabler as our city manager, as you know. I broke down my presentation in 3 different categories. We have departmental audits, grant management, and finance. The departmental audits is normally we go through like we have performance standard requirements. Everybody must perform within the stipulated standard. We want to make sure that if the complaints are coming into the city from the citizens, that the department which is handling the complaint is handling within the timely manner, and citizens are given proper justice. The collections are made properly on a timely basis. The responses back to the citizens that we have to give are given on a timely basis. All these are actually covered under our work. We also have we also review departmental policies and procedures. Every department must have at least their policies and procedures established. And that's the disciplinary part of the department. Everybody has to follow the rules. You don't follow the rules, you're behind your schedule, you can't perform your work right, and you have problems, right? So you want to make sure everybody follows the procedure. The system is the same. We have uniformity in documentations so that everybody understands. Also, if the department loses one employee and we hire another employee, that new employee can be trained pretty quick because we already have the procedures established. And so that's why you have this guideline like a Bible for each department. We also have organizational charts. This is where you have the who is responsible to who is our supervisor, who is responsible for certain actions, the work that is performed. We can pinpoint a person who is responsible for doing good or bad, whatever it is. But it's easy to recognize a person that way. We also review employee misconduct. When I say misconduct means, say we have a complaint. Some citizen calls our hotline, okay, auditor's hotline, and says, you know what? I saw a city vehicle parked at this address, and they give us a number. As you know, our city vehicles, each one has a number on it. Have you noticed that? The first 3 digits is a department, and then the another 4 digits or something, or another 3 digits. That actually tells us which department that vehicle belongs to. And so the auditor, as usual, this is citizens' complaint, so we check it out and see what the employee was doing over there at that time. So we talk to the department head and see if the employee was actually given certain tasks so that it is okay for him to go there. And so we find out a lot of things this way. There is also abuse of power by some employees, supervisors, and if we have any complaint with that regard, we also have to look into it and then see what happens. We also have to take sometimes employees' depositions in our HR, Human Resource Department. Before we discipline an employee, auditor has to investigate whatever the reasons are for an employee to be disciplined. And so we question him. If he or she is responsible for doing something wrong, proper actions are taken by Human Resource Department. In the grant, we have, I don't know if you're familiar with federal grants and all these different types of grants, but one thing that I would like to tell you is that it's a compliance part. The grant is given for a specific use. So use of the funds are for a specific purpose. It has only the percentage of that those funds will be used for administrative purpose. The rest has to go in the project. Also, it is construction and it's a project and it's a federal grant. That is, we call it Davis-Bacon Act requirement. The wages have to be paid as per the Davis-Bacon rule, the law. It stipulates how much per hour an employee should be getting paid for a specific job. So each job, each category of job is given a certain amount per hour. So that employee has to be paid minimum that. If the recipient, grant recipient doesn't use the money properly and they find classified record and employee is not paid and underpaid than that stipulated wage, sometimes the government, well in that case, not sometimes, always, the government will say, give us our money back. You didn't use it properly. So we, as auditors, we have to make sure that all the compliance issues are taken care of, and each department who is receiving the grant and using the money is using it properly. So city doesn't have to pay the money back. Otherwise, I don't know if you heard a few years ago, there was a program called weatherization. And in that program, the money was given to low-income people. So it wasn't given in cash to the recipient, but qualified families. But the money was used to fix up their homes, like energy efficient, insulation, proper insulation, proper walls. If there is any holes in the wall, to fix them up. The heating system, cooling system has to be properly installed and has to be proper system used. And city of Houston and city of Dallas to pay back several million dollars back to the government. And that is no, because you as citizens are paying taxes. That money has to be used properly. Now we are double dipping. We have to pay the government that money back. Plus, city loses that much money from the general fund. General fund comes from your taxes too, right? So you're losing money there. That's a no-no, and that's the part of the job that we have to make to show the citizens that we are following all the rules and regulations required under that law. So that's the grant management. And then the finance, which is money, accounting. We have some enterprise accounts, like city has like at the golf center, we sell hot dogs and hamburgers and drinks, beer, all that good stuff, right? And so we make money of that. Okay, that's called enterprise account. And all the money has to be accounted for. We have to make sure that the employee who is stealing the money is not stealing, because it's your money. That's citizens' money. It's not my money per se, but everybody who is living in this town, paying money, buying things, paying sales tax, it's their money. So we make sure that that money is accounted. And if we find something wrong during our audits, we take proper actions. We also have to make sure about liabilities. City has so many vehicles, right? We have so many vehicles. City bus, how many buses we have on the street, right? Many. We have equipment. We have employees working on the equipment. They get hurt. The bus driver, if he loses control of the bus and drives through the crowd, what happens? You have people get hurt, right? This is a responsibility, it's a liability. So we have to make sure from the risk management point of view that all that risk is properly insured and covered under proper insurance policies. So that's also part of the audit that we also have to consider. And the last but not least is the ethics issue. Ethics, to give an example, I'm working for the city and we have job openings. Let's see how, so many applicants apply for the job. One happens to be my own family, right? And so I go to the HR director and say, hey buddy, look, so-and-so is applying for the job. Can you sure? And that's ethics. I am trying to persuade our city officials to do something wrong. Whoever is qualified gets a job. It shouldn't be that way that, because something. Same thing happens in procurement. Let's say city has advertised for bids. We are going to redo the streets, right? And so it's just a several $1 million project. And you got a lot of contractors bidding, right? And one contractor knows some commissioners, right? Because he has given some money in that campaign, buddy system, and also is taking out the person who's making a decision, like like a procurement guy in the city, gets in friend, and gets into the club, and man, he has all this power, right? That's not unethical. You don't allow that. Actually, by doing that, you are actually polluting somebody's mind to take an action which is not proper, unethical. You have to be impartial, and that's what auditors are. They're very impartial. They have no heart when it comes to work, and we just don't care who it is. It could be my own father. He's wrong. That's it. There is no ifs and buts about it. So we are very strict about our ethics and our beliefs. And so that's what our job is, and that's what we do. I know because of the time constraints, I want to make sure I don't go over the limit. We still have 30 minutes. And what I would like to do at this point is, if you have any specific question that you would like to share with us, ask us, we'll be happy to answer. So the whole floor is yours. Yes. Oh, excellent question. Oh, yes, yes, yes. You look like a good one. Yes. No, that's a good question. To be an auditor, uh, first of all, you need to have an accounting degree, right? Because you're a financial auditor. That's how you start out. But then when you go to the actual job, it's not just finance. It's not just the money. But you have so many other areas that we look into. And we have basically the two main agencies I'm familiar with. One is the AICPA, which is American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. That is to become a CPA. And I know in the beginning you mentioned about you are going to have these applications that's going to be filled out. So congratulations for the first step to become an auditor. And the second one to become internal auditor, equivalent to CPA. There is an institute called IIA, which is Institute of Internal Auditors, IIA, and they have certification called CIA, which is Certified Internal Auditor. So you can go to either one. You can Google these two the names I gave you, and they will give you complete information on how to apply and whatnot. But it's a good profession. In private field, like all the CPAs, sometimes if you really work hard and smart, you can have a big practice also. You can be self-employed. You don't have to work for them. Did I answer your question? When you do MBA, then you are just doing mastery in business administration. So you are going in management. But if you want to concentrate in accounting and auditing, then MS in accounting would make more sense to me. Second thing I think UTB has is forensic accounting, which is part of the risk management and also investigations. So that is also a good area to go into, and then you can go and do your audit, which is CPA. So you have masters in accounting. You can have also masters in forensic accounting. And forensic accounting is more on criminal side of the business. All the big crimes committed by all these big investors and who steal money. You hear that on the TV all the time, right? On Wall Street, insider information, abused information, all that good stuff, right? Okay. So MBA, I did my MBA, but then I also have my master's in accounting also. So accounting degree, I believe, will help you more than just MBA with less concentration on accounting. In MBA, I think you have more on management. You have the classes. You have marketing management, international management, and all that good stuff.
Can I add a little bit to it?
Yeah, please.
In the government auditing, depending on which level of government auditing, local, county, state, or federal, they all have their own qualifications for what constitutes an internal audit. So it might not necessarily be an accounting degree, but you have to be numbered literate in accounting federal government for their internal auditors require, I believe, 24 hours in accounting and business in order for you to apply for an accounting degree. So if you majored in biology, but you had 24 hours in accounting, you could get hired with the federal government as an internal auditor. Absent of which, there's no certification you can get that they'll take in place of the 18 college or 24 college credit hours to be a federal internal auditor. And depending on the field or which department you go into, the IRS hires internal auditors, and they have another unit that does criminal investigation. And Joe, you remember the name of that?
CID, Criminal Investigation Division.
And that is, you are actually go through the academy as a federal agent police officer, and you're an accountant and you carry a gun. So we've had recruiters at UTB. I used to work here a while back. We would have the IRS come in and recruit, and they were looking for agents, and particularly people that had an accounting background. People that have some accounting or an accounting degree are competitive, not just in the accounting field, but if you want to seek a criminal justice degree, FBI, U.S. Marshals, local, or whatever, if you're financially literate, you have the skill set that most of these agencies want in the federal and state, and also municipal government. But it makes you that much more competitive to have those accounting background. You have a question? Yeah, I got answered.
And just to make sure, you know, Joe, he's a CPA and also CFP. He worked for IRS before. He was, and I'll let Joe explain about that part of the possibilities. Going to.
I guess the only thing I want to go ahead and say is that I did graduate from Pan American University. That was back in 1985, so I'm actually dating myself. I graduated from college. I applied for the government. I was hired. I went to Boston. I was over there for some time. I came back to Brownsville. I got my CPA certification. And then I started working for the city. Actually, before starting working for the city, I worked for an accounting firm out in McAllen, Texas. And we used to audit corporations, partnerships, you name it. I got the experience there. We did income tax partnerships, individual tax preparation. And I never thought about actually working for the city, but one of the guys that was there told me, actually from Brownsville, don't you want to move back to Brownsville? And I said, not really, but I'll go ahead and try. So I submitted my application, and that's how I got hired. But to me, one of the reasons I got hired was because I had my qualification, which was bachelor's in business administration. I also had my CPA, and I also had my certified product certificate. And the reason I went with the CFP is because the CPA, you are, I guess, already an accountant, but I wanted to tailor my profession more like into investigations. So I went with the CFP. So really, I guess in our profession, we're a combination of three professions. We are accountants, we're investigators, and we're part owners. Because we have to know a lot of laws. If we don't know the law, we have to research it. So that's basically my history in a nutshell.
One thing to consider if you're going into the business side of things, a lot of large corporations cycle their management team through the internal audit department. So they move them away from the operations side and say, hey, learn about internal audit. When you're in an internal audit, whether it's private sector or public sector, in our case it's public, you are learning about all of the corporation. Sometimes we're auditing the animal shelter, we're talking about dogs. And we're auditing beer and wine, we're talking about licensing. Now we're auditing the police department in regards to, let's say, traffic. So you are learning about the whole entire organization. So that having that knowledge is really important, whether you're going to stay in internal audit or you're going to go into management. So these corporations see the value of it, and they'll cycle their staff, their junior staff, through internal audit for 2, 3 years, 4 years. Some people remain internal auditors. They love the profession. Other ones get the experience and then move on to different position with the corporation or the government. So we can. That's really the biggest benefit when it comes to working for internal audit, is that you get to see the big picture, not just accounts payable or accounts receivable or the balance sheet. You are actually, like Mr. Tucker mentioned, we deal with accountability in whether it's paper clips or it's a multi-million-dollar grant. It's all about the accountability. Internal audit has the ability or the flexibility, since we report to the executive member of our city. The number one non-elected position in the city of Brownsville is the city manager. He's the executive. He's the CEO, let's say. And we report directly to that one person or that position. So a director can't say, you can't look at my books, or we're going to be closed. They have no jurisdiction over what we do, or when we do it, or how we do it. And that's flexibility that internal audit needs to be able to do what we do, which is to ensure accountability, whether it's in the financial side of it or in the management side of it. So I think that's what's interesting in the internal audit. Yes, you're going to sit in the small office and pour over numbers. That's going to happen. But you're also going to be going out there and engaging the citizenry or the members of the management team and learning about a new process. Because you're just a part of a really big team, I guess, depending whether it's a corporation or local government or state government or federal government. It's a really neat profession to be in. Any other questions?
Let me go ahead and mention one more thing. A lot of people have the impression that an accountant is a boring job, but it really isn't, because you can be an auditor, which basically leads to investigations. Basically, an investigator wants to become a auditor. And there's a lot of professions that hire accountants. FBI is one. Security Exchange Commission is one. ICE hires accountants. Some city governments hire accountants. The IRS hires accountants. And your major corporations, by law, have to have an audit within the corporation. So there's plenty of opportunities.
Even in the banks. Right now, the banks have to have auditors who specialize in auditing this money laundering accounts. If there is anybody laundering any money, they have to have an auditor with that skill to audit that. And that is a big issue now. So, financial institutions.
Or you can, work for a CPA. You can you can open up your own company. You have the skills to run your own company. Prepare your own tax return. Maybe go into the stock market. You should have the skills to, read financials.
How many internal auditors do you have?
Normally, in our city, we are two, Joe and I. And some cities have 3, it just depends. The size of the city.
We're not mandated to have one, and depending on the size, City of Boston, I think there's 25 members of their internal audit team. And some cities have no internal audit, so they rely solely on the external audit reviews yearly, because those are required. Internal audit reviews are required. So, like you had mentioned, if you have your own practice, you can do an internal audit review hired by a municipality to go in there and look at components and, or do an investigation. But it just depends. I think McAllen is in a team of 2 as well in the internal audit. So, Arlington, what? Just one person?
The university has like 92 reports. AUB has 2. The county has 92 reports. And schools. Probably not.
And in the federal government, they also have the Office of Inspector General, and several branches of the military have Office of Inspector General within them that they would pick randomly, let's say a soldier, and they say you're going to be working for our office and you're going to be conducting investigation. And if you guys do remember the ranks of the military, who's the lowest rank in the military? Private and E1, right? And you go all the way up to General, 4-star General. Well, when you go into the Office of Inspector General, they take your insignia off, and you're an investigator. Rank doesn't play no role. You are there, and people have to answer the questions that you ask because you're there as an investigating arm of the Office of Inspector General. So, like I mentioned here, what we do, we only report to one person. They're what these gentlemen do. I used to work in the internal audit office. We're kind of still collaboratively working together. We report to the executive, and that is it. So that's what's interesting in what we do, and you see that in the different levels of government and what the function is there for.
I know that the city of Brownsville has like internship positions for accountants. Do you know if they have like for somebody interested for going to auditing?
I don't think they have one, but that's a good question. I think we will take it to the management.
There's a partnership that we started again last year where the university says, I have 5 slots for interns, and could you accommodate these in your department? So what the university did was coordinate with the students, what are you interested in? And they coordinate with the city, do you have these possibilities in these departments? So, and it's funded through the university, and it is competitive through the university. So we have an intern in the city manager's office, or this is the newest intern that we have in the city manager's office, but it's based through the slots that UTB has, and it's through your Office of Career Services. And those, so, yeah, it's a really good opportunity. We had our previous intern was over the summer, 20 hours a week, and she would schedule her hours. You know, if she was doing 3 days or 2 days or 5 days, so it had quite a bit of flexibility. So yeah, I recommend. How many of you guys have done internships before? How many of you guys are? How many freshmen? Sophomore, junior, senior. You have to do an internship, guys. It is so important to do an internship, whether it's paid or unpaid, because that goes into your portfolio when you graduate. It was unpaid, but you can say, I was able to work in this. Now, when we talk about internship, ideally it's something that you're going to walk away with something for your portfolio, professional portfolio, as compared to I stapled, I made copies, and coffee, right? You want something that's a little meatier than that. So try to pick an internship that at least gives you something that at the end of the day is in your portfolio. But internships is an ability to prove to your future employer or graduate degree or wherever you're going to end up at, saying these are references, these people have worked with me at a professional level. You can call them up, and this is my product here. I have the folder. Here's when I started, here's the pictures, here's the end product, and you can present that during the interview. And that is so important. Personally, when I did my internship at University of North Texas, I went through a graduate program there. I did an internship at a university department. And when I was interviewed for one of the positions in the city, I had my folder for my internship, and I said, look, here's a PowerPoint presentation. This is how I developed it. This is how I deployed it with over 1,000 employees, and I had that product that helped me land that job because I walked in there with something that I had accomplished, not just theoretical, not that I sat through this many classes and I went to so many seminars. Here's work that I did, and in my graduate program it did require to be paid internship. But having that reference, having that ability for somebody to say, yeah, I know Arnold, and he did a great job. So if you guys do not have it, get one before you graduate, even though regardless of the size of it, an internship is very important. The Hispanic Associations of College and Universities, HACU, have you guys ever heard of that one? HACU. I suggest you guys write that down and look it up. Hispanic Association of College and Universities does paid internships to Washington, D.C. in the summers. They don't take freshmen, but I think they take sophomores, juniors, and seniors. A friend of mine, because I went to UTB for my undergraduate degree. I was a peer mentor. I walked these same halls. And the only difference is that she did an internship for 2 summers in Washington, D.C. for the Treasury Department. She graduated the same day I graduated. Guess who had a job waiting for her? She did. The federal government said, you know what? You did such a great job. Next week you're hired. And she was in the Treasury Department, started off there. They even, before the second Gulf War, they sent her and a group of people to go set up all the PayPal stuff in Kuwait. And so even before soldiers were deployed, there she was in the Treasury Department setting up the payment method. She came back, got married, now she's in the Department of Homeland Security, DC, but it all started with an internship. And she got paid, and she got college credit. What else? What more do you want? It is an amazing opportunity for somebody to be able to try that internship. But regardless whether it's the federal government, state, or local, or even if it's a target, whatever the case may be, an internship is a very important investment of your time to make sure you have a work product when you are being competitive for either your graduate degree or the next employment opportunity at the professional level. For the university side, I think it's just interest. That you have to be competitive enough to get that slot for your own university, and then they reach out to our department. And really, our last intern that we had in the city manager side, she wasn't even studying management; she was studying sociology, which was my undergrad. That's the other there. So it's not really necessarily based on the degree you're seeking; it's the interest that you have and the project that you're going to work on. For the UTB and the City of Brownsville partnership that we have. Now, other agencies or organizations, they have their own criteria, they have their own selection. So you have to explore on their pages what kind of internship possibilities are there. But it is a very, very important thing to do while you're in college. Hispanic Association of College and University for the federal government, which I think career services, you guys used to have an internship coordinator. I don't know if they still, I know you guys got smaller. So. But you can go to their federal website and they'll tell you the parameters. Preferably, you talking with the city or just period out there in the universe? Not always, man. Some organizations will take an unpaid, as long as you're a college student, they'll take you in and they'll provide you an internship slot. I know some of the larger cities have paid internships worked into the budget, and it's not through the university, it's just as long as you're a college student. There's a magic window, and I'm sorry if I keep harping on the federal government, but there's a magic window right before you graduate to get hired by the federal government, because you are in a fast-track hiring mode. When you're a recent college graduate, the federal government laps you guys up like that. You know, that it's more, once you get that degree in your hand, you have to go on the back of the line like everybody else when you're applying for a job. But while you're still at the university and you're getting post-graduation, whether you go to the Treasury Department or the Homeland Security, And they have the recent college graduate fast track hiring. So that's, I'm not pushing you guys into government just because we're government, but those are some of the perks of being a clerk.
Before you take off, we want you to come by, pick up anything you want as our souvenir from the city. We are proud of being part of the city, and you are too. So there is some pencils, some rulers, we have some pins you can proudly wear on your shirt, your jacket. So please don't forget, okay? And there is no charge. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah.